everybody. They're finally here. Well, coming very shortly, depending on when you're watching this video, but we're officially getting these on the water, coming to you, available. And so I wanted to tell you the story of Pressol and how this all came about. And hopefully it's the start of the next chapter to the story. But these are now the Pressol bottle that you're going to see in its final form of the very first sort of version of what I would call OG spec spray bottles. So if you've been around a long time, I want to say, I don't know the exact date or exact year, but a follower, and I want to honor the source, but I can't remember. I think his name was Gregory. Had sent me an email, so if you're in the comments, maybe you're watching this video, maybe put in the comments, honor the source here. But he had said, I saw these spray bottles at I don't know, it was like a chemical factory or a body shop or something. I saw these sprayers, and it was a company called Pressol. And so I was in the middle of making a bunch of different videos where I had bought, every plastic bottle, every bottle I can get from every country I can get my hands on. And so I'd made several videos just with my whole countertop filled with all these different bottles and different shapes and sizes and materials. And I could just never get exactly what I wanted. And at the time, I know that IK was working on coming out with something, so I was really excited about that. I've visited the Quasar Mercury stuff 6 or 7 times over the last decade, and I just couldn't get the bottle that I wanted that was over and above the quality of, say, a Tolco sprayer with, like, say, a Griot's bottle. And so this email came at a timely point in my process of trying to find spray bottles. I talked to several companies about making something bespoke, and it was going to cost several $1 million to develop, and I wasn't even sure if I could get it to where I wanted to get it to. And I even had signed NDA on some other bottles that were coming out, and they sent me different prototypes. Like, this is not what I'm looking for. And so that email from, let's just call him Gregory, was very timely. And so I started doing some Google searching and started to try to find these Pressol bottles. So I found Pressol. They had a very crude section on their site because spray bottles are not their thing. They're in like blue bio, whatever, diesel delivery and also lubrication. So they're into like grease guns and stuff like that as their specialty. But it's a German company, and on their website they had this bottle. They had the green sort of household bottle. I guess they called it the garden bottle. And then they had an orange one. And I thought, man, that orange one looks pretty interesting. So then I started searching, and I found the bottles to purchase on eBay Netherlands. And so I had to pay, it was somewhere on the order of $110 per bottle to get 3 of them. And so I had gotten one of the black sort of curved necks that are actually really awesome, and I'm hoping someday to be able to develop those as well. They had the orange bottle, and then I think the translucent version of this were the 3 bottles that I had gotten. And I was just thinking, and the orange one was junk. It was just like a regular old sprayer. The black one was awesome, and so I started to then seek out, how can I get a few more of these? So I think I spent a few more $100 to get 2 or 3 of them, and then I reached out to Pressol. Now I've dealt with German companies in the past, and I got the sense from them like this wasn't their thing. They'd spent a bunch of money developing this bottle and the black bottle and the red bottle and the sort of the translucent one. So they'd spent a bunch of money, and they had this decent suite of bottles. So I asked them, could I buy these and have you air freight them over to me, and I'll pay for that. And so then they sent me my first batch of them. And then I asked if I could become sort of the North American distributor, knowing fair well that there's a good chance the bottles weren't going to be perfect. And now the 2 or 3 that I had, one of them was working and functioning well, but I hadn't torture tested them. I hadn't used them a lot. And so I asked them if I could bring over, a half a container's load or bring over several pallets. And I thought, well, I don't know if these are good yet, but I was thinking about maybe doing a Kickstarter or crowdfunding, some way to develop my own sprayer. Maybe we should work with these, and then and at least we have a starting point. They've spent several $million getting the the initial design done. They look beautiful. Let's start with this starting point. But I also know that the Germans, they tend to you need to be gentle with them. They spend a lot of time and energy and a lot of money, and so I didn't want to scare them away. I wanted to show them that there was a market for a $20 bottle and sprayer. And so I went to you, the audience. This was 6 years ago, and I said, hey, I've got these bottles. I spent hundreds of dollars, or over $100 for each bottle. I'm not going to ask you to do that. But I don't know if these things are really going to work well. So I want to get these out in the marketplace. And then I want to prove to the, to Pressol that this is viable, that these will be, something that people would pay for. And I put red lettering, no returns, no warranties. Don't buy them if you don't want to beta test. And, I had underestimated, I thought it would take me a year or two, but I had underestimated that, the Europeans are brilliant humans, and they're probably smarter than us for taking time off. But anytime we have a meeting, it usually takes us 2 months to get a meeting on the books. And somehow it took us 6 years to get here. And so what we'd found in the first bottles is they would kind of panel, so they'd suck in. Our labels wouldn't stick right. The tips would fail because you had to torque them down too tightly. The spray heads, even the industrial heads, couldn't handle high pH stuff. Things like Tarex would seep through the bottle. You can see, some of these, like our labels, don't stick quite right. And so I went on this long, many-year escapade to create, hopefully, at least the start of the world's best bottle. And so we now finally have it. And so my vision has always been, I wanted to have all the unmatching products. So I wanted to get away from this, where, my cabinets have a bunch of different bottles and sprayers and non-matching stuff. And I wanted to be able to have all these products in a matching bottle with a matching label, and that was what I had always intended to have. But I didn't want to come out with my own detailing line, because, how am I going to beat P&S at catching lightning in a bottle, or CarPro Eraser, or all these amazing products. I'm a sucker for great products that are done and found by great companies, and I love to be in relationship with them. And I don't want to have some generic brand that I'm using. I don't do that in my electronics. I don't do that with my cars. I don't do that with anything. And so I've always been a sucker for or an admirer for great brands. And so I wanted to make a co-branded line of products where P&S would let me put it in a great spray bottle. And I think that there's other people that would want that too. And so we now have this where we're going to have a matching line of products where they all look like this to start, and then we're going to come out with different colors and different styles. But the very first version of the final OG spec Pressol bottle is now fluorinated. So I only have 2 of them. These are the 2. So the things like Tarex won't seep through the bottle. When you fluorinate the bottle, it's a chemical process. You also end up with better adhesion, so your labels can stick better. We have a bottle that won't panel, won't suck in anymore because of the fluorination. The heads stay torqued and tight when you're using them. That was one of the things I'd never liked about the Quasar stuff, is I'm always having to retorque the head. They would always come loose, and it really wasn't very ergonomic or comfortable. I think that we can improve on this over time, but this current style, this current head style is dual action. So when I pull the trigger, it operates on the push, on the pull, and the release. And then also have it where we found that over the last several years, the high alkaline products like this, higher pH stuff, would eat through the head. And so we've been testing this. The only thing you can test it with is time. And so we had to put this darn product in bottles and let it sit there for months on end. And then the first 6-month test finally failed after 6 months. So then they went back to the drawing board. And so then we developed new plastic tips. So this is version 3 of the tips, but they still split with some heavy surfactant products. Believe it or not, like McKee's N914 will cause the tip to split. And so then we've been working on different plastics, and then we finally came up with, well, it's worth the investment to make a stainless steel tip. This isn't the final design. By the time you place your order and you get it, it'll be slightly more refined, but we're going to have a T304 high quality stainless tip that atomizes extremely well, and so we have a pretty bulletproof head design. I'm not sure how long it's going to last with a super high alkaline product. This has been in here for about 6 months and it's working great. And so, I mean, theoretically, hopefully we get years out of these, but this type of product over time tends to eat and ruin spray bottles. And so if we have something that can last for a year or 2 years, 3 years, that would be amazing. And so we're again a year into testing and we've had no issues with Break Buster, which is our test study. Same thing with heavy products that are more acidic. We've had good function. And then another thing that's changed is that instead of having a fixed tube like we had in the past, if you look at the tube type we've had over the years, this is a stiff design. It's a pressure fit design. It does have a stainless head on the end, but we found that these things would fall off. So oftentimes you'd be spraying and especially on things like drying aid, you'd have the straw fall off. And so now we've transitioned to a super durable silicone tube with a spring-loaded stay. And so now the stay will keep the tube in place, and we transition to plastic on the end because we found that oftentimes some of the internal components, the internal plastics of the stainless tube on the end would fall out. And so I had them I don't need that to be stainless on the end. I want it to be functional and not fall apart. And so we've made some strides on the tube. So now the bottle will work upside down because the weighted end will sort of fall to the top. So we have great engagement on the super coarse threads. We have an amazing bottle. We have great caps for the bottles as well to be able to ship. We have awesome foil labels, and so we'll have a whole label program for this. And so the very first version will come in 750 milliliter and 500 milliliter a bottle and sprayers. And then the only heads we're going to offer is the industrial spray head. And then I wanted it in all black instead of this two-tone business. And so we have, this is what the bottle and sprayer is going to look like, and it's going to be available raw, so you can be able to buy it as is, you can be able to buy it labels, you're going to be able to buy it in all different variants, all different versions, and eventually very soon pre-bottled with all the best products in the world. So I'm excited to announce it. Our pre-order, the way it's going to work is it'll be first come, first serve. We'll likely open it up to Inside the Hex first. All the details will be in the description. I'm making this video several weeks before we launch it, so we're working out the particulars right now. But theoretically, we're looking at launching our pre-order on mid-March, and then hopefully our arrival. We placed the order about 60 days ago, and so we're hoping our arrival will be about a month after that. But we're going to open up the Inside the Hex first, and then maybe keep it a week up there available to you guys, and then people will be able to place orders. The thing that takes the most time to make are the stainless tips. So I'm expecting to get about half the tips I ordered to start. And so I know we have about 20,000, I believe 20,000 bottles and sprayers coming, but we'll be short on tips. And so we'll probably sell out the first container, I think, pretty quickly, and then we'll start working on stock. I'm going to have these available all over the world as well. So I'm hoping to bring these to Australia shortly after, the UK, the EU. We'll have them in Canada as well. Then I'm hoping to bring them to Japan, to bring them to the Middle East. So the goal is to have these, set up worldwide, everywhere, and available. And then we'll continue to torture test them and continue continue to improve them. The thing that's coming shortly after this won't be on the pre-order, will be squeeze bottles that are LDPE plastic. That we just have to figure out how to put a label on the darn thing, because labels don't want to stick to this kind of bottle. So we may end up screen printing them, and we're testing out different orifices for the dispenser, and then we're going to have a 4-liter size, a stackable 4-liter size. It's going to be amazing, and so we're going to have a full matching line, because what I want to have is a full matching set of all the best products in the world with a label that matches and a bottle that matches, and then you'll refill from there. So that's my intention. It's been my intention the last 6 years. We're finally taking the first step in the next chapter of this. I'm super excited about it. I can't stress to you how awesome these frickin' bottles are, and man, it's been a sort of a life's mission for me to have amazing bottles and sprayers. It's only going to continue to improve from here, but the first iteration is really, really great. It's taken a good percentage of my adult life to get this here. I can't wait to see my whole shelf lined with fully functioning, amazing, Pressol stuff. So get your orders in, get your bottles, share it online. I'm going to try to get it in all the different, influencers' hands over time. We're going to beat the crap out of these things, continue to work with the Germans at Pressol to improve. But we're off to a really good start. And so thanks for all your support over the years. All of you who made this happen, I can't be thankful enough for you taking that flyer, buying the bottles. They've worked. You just had to work for it. Well, I'm hoping that in our new version, you won't have to work for it. The bottles will work for you instead of you working for your bottles and changing tips out and changing heads and dealing with certain products not working very well. So thanks for that support. And, it's proven that it's worked. We've got the bottle and sprayer. It just took a lot longer than I thought it would. So thanks for the support on the next ones, and we'll see you on the next product. I'll keep you in the loop when the squeeze bottles come and when the gallons come as well.